Alright, I wanted to do a little add-on video to the previous Draft Science video on the light speeds kind of thing and the idea of a circular orbit kind of pathway that photons or electrons would travel in that would, in essence, hold their frequency, define their character, what color light they are, or what kind of an X-ray they are, or whatever they are, be their signature profile. Yeah, I mean, this whole unification thing is sort of interesting, because if you can unify electrons and photons, that might be a good first step, because there does seem to be a real fuzzy ground there. Kind of seems like, anyway, from my perspective, that the electrons do the fat work, the heavy work, and that the photons do the light work. The high frequency and the low frequency is the electrons kind of thing. Something like that, anyway. I mean, electrons can't imitate light. You can't fly them around at a high frequency. So, well, anyway, there might be a line there. I don't know. I mean, I haven't gone through it all, but it just seems like, that's kind of curious. But anyway, the point I wanted to get to is this elliptical orbit thing. I thought that was sort of interesting. Feynman was talking about the solar system and these ellipses. And I was thinking about that, and I'm saying, well, how did they become ellipses? I mean, what's causing the elliptical orbit? And I was sort of thinking that was probably a signature of a capture. If something's captured by something's gravity, then it's always going to end up being one of these ellipses, because it would be very hard for them to hit just the right spot to end up with a circular orbit. They would have to come into contact. They'd have to have a trajectory, a capture trajectory, that would have to be just right, and that would be very unlikely. But if something was formed, like in an asteroid belt, if something condensed into a planet in an orbit already established, how you doing? There might be a likelihood that orbit would be circular, because of it's more changes the probability curve, as they might say, the quantum physicists. So anyway, that's just a thought. But I was thinking about this whole idea of, if you take away the Earth, you're still a satellite of the sun. So if we just take away the whole planet Earth, you still have acceleration and movement and motion. You'll still revolve around the sun, and you'll still be captured by the gravitational forces in the galaxy. All the forces that are playing on you now will still be existing and still playing on you, and nothing really will change. And that's sort of interesting. I mean, somewhere to, get your brain wondering, thinking. And it always comes down to the focus. The focus of your gravity, of whatever gravity you're producing, is always at the center of the mass. I don't know. That's sort of something to think about. Is how does gravity manifest itself in shapes that aren't circular? I mean, we're always, planets are always circular, generally speaking. And how does gravity manifest in like us? We don't have a focus, really. We don't have a center of density. And so I mean, it's something to think through too. Because each individual cell has its own gravity. Each molecule, each atom has its own gravity. That's what's tying everything together. Except when you get to this molecular level, the ties change. It's not just gravity anymore. Now it's electricity. It's binding things together. Or it could be described as electricity. Strong and weak forces, sort of, I think that stuff is basically electricity, or what electricity is made out of anyway. And so that's where it sort of gets interesting again, because now there's something in the dynamic that changes. You have that transition thing from electron to photon, from gravity to electrical bonds. And from our perspective, I mean, the electrical bonds are so much more powerful than the gravitational ones at our level of the universe. And I stated before in the other video, you don't see the galaxies exchanging a tremendous amount of substance. There isn't lightning shooting across galaxies, but there is huge exchanges between these smaller molecular substances, and so there's got to be some account for that. I'm not trying to, I mean, I think there's obviously some more, whatever, with Legos. It's like there's some sort of Lego thing that the universe is built out of. It's not built out of an endless reduction where you just keep going into universe after universe after universe where the same rules apply, and you just keep getting smaller and smaller and smaller. I mean, that's sort of the trap of the Newtonian atom, with the electrons circulating around the sun, their sun, their nucleus. It just sets you up for that kind of perception, like somehow the subatomic world is the same as the exterior huge galactic world. But I think that's kind of I don't think you can do much with that. There's too many things that make that obviously where that doesn't make sense, where the math doesn't add up, where the observed observations don't add up, where nothing adds up. Like I said, lightning and electricity are known phenomenons, and there's no parallel to those phenomenons taking place, in a solar system. Anyway, what else I gotta say? Is that maybe a supernova? I don't know. Well, anyway, I'm not gonna try to figure all that out. Damn horsefly. Alright, I just want to do the inertia thing and the eccentric orbit thing. I just thought was interesting because that's sort of what I'm sort of implying about the quantum effect and frequency of light, is that there's two forces. There's that forward momentum, but it's got a centrifugal force also built into it, that might account for some of the irregular behavior observed. A shearing force, almost, you could call it. But anyway, till next time.